So again, Chris Coyer. So he did this thing where he just did bunch of shapes. So these are all pretty evident how they're done, right? We showed you how to do triangles. Showed you all of these triangles. We explained how to do a trapezoid. When your width isn't 0, you get a trapezoid. You can use skew, but that's transforming. But star. You can do stars of many ways. This is not how I would have done, like to do a star, I would have used a before and an after. Like if I wanted a Star of David right next to something, I would have just, put my div and then put a before of a triangle going down and after triangle going up. And that way I would have had content instead of useless, but it's pretty much the same thing. This one is way more complex than I would have thought. He is actually transforming it, so he is rotating it, and that's how he did a 5-pointed star. And he used both before and after. Pentagon is a trapezoid with a triangle on top. It's actually good that the site is partially broken, because that way you can see what he actually did. So here is a box, just a div with the background red, triangle above it, and triangle below it, and you have a hexagon. Octagon is a box with a trapezoid above it and trapezoid below it. Heart is 2 circles and a triangle. Okay, so he's done every single possible shape you could want to do. We have Pac-Man. Oh, and look, his talk bubble is very similar to mine. A pointed burst, which is just a square with another square with another square. I do have a whiteboard. Okay. One thing I want to cover, and I have no clue if I cover this anywhere, but I talk about it later. So I'm going to do it here. So P display inline block background color is red. Okay. So I want to create something that is the exact same height and width of this, but I have no clue what the height and width are. This is my challenge. So content is empty. Position is absolute. It's spelled correctly, very important. And this has to be position relative, right? Position absolute, top 0, bottom 0, left 0, right 0. Background color green. And you won't see any of it because the red is on top, so let's just make this transparent. And that failed miserably for some reason. Why did it fail? I have no clue. I'm going to show you later on then when I actually have an example. I'm not going to waste time doing that. But basically, when you want an element to be the exact same size as its parent, you know what? Oh, now it got deleted, so I'm not going to rewrite that whole thing. When you want something to be the exact same size as its parent, you put the position, you position it absolutely, and you give it a top of 0 and a bottom of 0, because basically that will stretch it to the height. And then you put a left and a right of 0, and it'll stretch the width. And that will make it fill up its whole parent, because otherwise, an absolutely positioned element has no size. And when we do transforms, everything in transforms is actually done with generated content. So everything looks like it's the same size, and you can't tell that it's done with generated content, except for I told you. So who here, oh, let me just do one more run through of ideas. And this is Chris Coyer's other ideas. And he grabbed some of them. So this is what I said. I won't cover that. Here are his shapes. Clear fixing. Anyone here use the class clear fix and have no clue what it does? So clear fix, what it does is it puts generated content, displays a block, and clears it. So that way you have a tiny little block level element, and you can clear whatever it was without adding something to the page. You can simulate float center. You can, all of these icons here are done with generated content. This is a really good example of generated content. So here you have a tiny little window, mobile portrait, mobile landscape, tablet, small monitor, and large monitor. So with media queries, you say the generated content, when it's a tiny little device, don't put any generated content. If you have a small device, like mobile landscape, put a tiny little icon. If you have a tablet, which gives you more space, put the actual word email. If you have a small monitor, you can put the email address after it and use the href attribute. And if you have a large monitor, you can put the icon and the email address. Why not? So that's a good use of generated content and progressive enhancement and media queries. Let's see if he has other good examples. We have the pull quotes, I'm sure, coming up. Oh, here he did one. He has a banner, and then with generated content, he makes it look like a ribbon. Styled numbers in ordered lists. You can actually style the numbers. Oh, that's a new one. I didn't see that one before. Your mom is hot when you hover over it. And that's basically very simple, similar to the example we're going to do. So we're going to do the your mom is hot example right here, except for it's not as entertaining. We have generated content when we hover over it. And when you click on this, all it does is open this in a separate window. So it's really not, but why don't we spend about 10 minutes? And so do click on it and do a view source, view page source. Ignore the top, don't read the top, just copy the bottom and then try to come up with your own top as to how you would do it. There's many different solutions for this. That is just mine. But as you can see, this might actually be a good time to show you. Oops, let's just click out of that. I'm trying to exit presentation mode, view, exit presentation mode. And let's get rid of that. Okay, so here, wow, this is a huge window. So this is where that thing comes in handy, because here, when I open up generated content, you see that text does not come through. So I want you to code this page, do the CSS for it, and make it so that this word tooltip works on hover, but that it doesn't come through. Remember, I'm going to actually code it. Hold on, because I'm just getting too many blank stares. So let's just code it together. Do you guys want to do this as an exercise on your own, or do you guys want me to slave labor up in front?
Slave labor.
Okay.